Good evening and welcome. I'm Chris Parnell.
Reporting from Moscow.
Tbilisi.
Times Square.
May your dreams be your only boundaries in life.
Hello, and welcome to the special edition of GHS-TV's award-winning talk show, Crosstalk. I'm your host, Sara Mayers, filling in for Raneem Imam. We're coming to you from Beale Street in downtown Memphis. Each week in this time slot, we take a look at different issues, personalities, and events that affect you and our community. Memphis has nearly 200 years of history surrounding it, with landmarks all over our city. Today, we'll be taking a tour of our city, visiting Graceland and the new Beale Street Landing. Who joining me today as I take a tour of the city's most famous street is John Shivers, Director of Beale Street Management. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Shivers.
Thank you all for coming.
Shall we start our tour down the street? Let's go. So Beale Street was founded in 1841 and has gone through many renovations in its time. Can you tell us about the history of the street?
It has, like you said, it was founded in 1841. It was named after basically a forgotten war hero at the time, and it actually used to be called Beale Avenue, and then slowly it changed back to Beale Street. It's definitely gone through many renovations in the time, just through what was going on in Memphis at the time. It's gone through some very highs and some low points. It started out as really popular for trading of goods and stuff based off the river boats on the river, and then that kind of declined, and then it kind of picked back up, and then it declined again when yellow fever epidemic hit Memphis, and then it declined again, and then it kind of picked back up, and then in the late 80s is when it was really fully renovated to what it is today, and then luckily we haven't seen a decline again, and we're still going strong.
Well, the new Daisy just came across its 74th birthday, and it's had some great acts in its time.
Correct. Yeah, it's been a long time, and there's many stories between the old Daisy and the new Daisy operating on this street, and the amount of musicians that have played on there is pretty remarkable.
Well, what events are actually hosted here on Beale Street?
On Beale Street, there's a lot of events. There's the Beale Street Wine Race, there's our New Year's Eve event, there's a lot of car shows and weekly bike nights and country concerts and a whole mixture of different events that we offer to the public that try to appeal to a little bit of everybody.
Well, we're coming across Silky Sullivan's. Tell us about the history. It's been along for quite some time.
Silky Sullivan's the building. It's called the Galena building, and it's been on the street since the late 1800s. It's seen so many high and low points. It's caught fire at one point and burned a lot of the building down, but there's a lot of history in that from the Galena building days when it was a gambling hall and a bar, and then all the way to now what it is currently.
Well, what does Silky Sullivan's entail right when you walk in the doors?
Southern fun is what Silky Sullivan's entails. You're guaranteed to have fun in there between their good food and their drinks, and they have live goats on the patio, and nobody else in Memphis has live goats on the patio.
So what do you think Silky Sullivan's does for our city?
It does a lot. It has so much history. It actually, Silky Sullivan started out in Overton Square, and then eventually they closed, and then they moved downtown. So there's generations of customers and families and friends that have been meeting up at Silky's for years now. So it adds a lot to the street, and it adds a lot for Memphis because it's a destination that you know you can go and eat good food and have fun with your friends.
Beale Street in the past has had some terrible violence issues. What are you doing today to protect our visitors?
Well, I think the violence is actually a misconception. Beale Street is actually the safest part of Memphis. Downtown is the safest part. Crime's actually down 14% this year, and we have the quickest response time of the police and fire department in the case that there is a random act of violence. But generally Beale Street is safe and downtown is safer than any other part of Memphis.
Recently, you've implemented a Fast Pass. What does that entail?
A Fast Pass is like our VIP status for Beale Street. What it is if you pay $150 a year, you get this little card. It's almost like a gift card. And what that entitles you for $150 is you and a guest can come on the street and you don't have to wait in lines at security. You don't have to pay a cover charge at the clubs. And you get front and first in line at the clubs, so you don't have to wait in line at the door. And then you also get discounts on parking. So there's a lot of multiple benefits of that last from April to September. And like I said, it's $150 for you and a guest.
Well, that's definitely a deal.
Yes, for sure.
Well, going back to the events hosted on the street or around our community, what can we look forward to in the upcoming months of new events and activities?
Well, upcoming new events and activities, and just activities in general on the street. Obviously, this weekend we have our Beale Street Wine Race, which is huge. We also have, the Memphis and May stuff that just draws so many people to downtown, and luckily they come to Beale Street to eat and party before and after. So with the Music Fest and the Barbecue Fest. And then we have a couple of new concert series, including a country concert series with Kicks on Beale and Kicks 106, a local station, to do free weekly concerts for 4 to 6 weeks in the summertime.
What is one of your favorite Beale Street stories?
I don't know if I could sum up a Beale Street story into just one. There's many. You never know what you're going to see on Beale Street. We attract people from all over the world and all over the country, so there's always something new to see, and there's always something you probably haven't seen before.
Well, how did you get involved in Beale Street?
Beale Street actually started out when I was younger and I was an intern, and then I love Beale Street so much and I love working here so much that I didn't want to leave, and I've been here ever since.
What else is going on in Memphis in May? Well, there is Beale Street Music Festival in the wine tasting, as you just said. What else goes on towards the end of the month?
Correct, yeah, so after the music festival you have the Beale Street, or the Memphis barbecue contest, and then after that you have a new festival, the Choose 901 festival that they're doing at the end of the month around Memorial Day weekend on that Saturday in place of the Sunset Symphony that they used to do.
Well, looking at this street now, it's definitely a sight to see, a beautiful sight to see. How are you keeping the streets clean of Beale Street?
It's a daily and a constant struggle. There's a team of employees that are constantly cleaning the street on a daily basis and trying to do our best just to keep up with the crowds and the amount of trash that all the crowds and the business generate every day.
We're right at A. Schwab's. I believe that it's the oldest business here on Beale Street. Can you tell us about it?
It is the oldest business on Beale Street. It's the oldest business in Memphis. And it used to actually originally house a Piggly Wiggly back in the late 1840-45 before Schwab's opened in 1876.
Well, what does it entail inside when you walk in the doors?
You can get anything you want out of Schwab. The saying is, if you can't find it at Schwab's, you don't need it. So they have a little bit of anything that you're going to want.
Well, as you're walking on the street, I noticed all the brass notes. How does one achieve a brass note?
We have a board that selects brass note recipients once a year, and we come up with a list of who we want, and then it's all taken on a vote. And then at the end of the year, we come up with our list of usually 12 a year, and then we select those people and notify them, and then we have a big ceremony for each person that is awarded a brass note.
Well, Mr. Shivers, thank you so much for taking us on a tour of the street today. It's been great seeing the past and the future of the street.
Right, thank you.
We need to take a short break, but when we return, we'll be visiting the city's most favorite mansion.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Oh! Your fault. You!
My fault?
Your fault.
Ugh.
Your fault.
You're right.
What?
It's my fault.
What do you mean your fault?
Just the two of us.
You're right, it's my fault.
We can make it if
Maybe
we
both of us?
try.
Maybe just you.
Just the two of us. Feeling.
Hello, and welcome to the special edition of Crosstalk. I'm your host, Sara Mayers, filling in for Reneem Imam. Right now, I am at Elvis Presley's Graceland, visited by thousands of people each year. Joining me today is Libby Perry from Elvis Enterprises. Miss Perry, thank you so much for coming on to our show today.
Thank you for having me. It's a joy to be here.
Well, let's start on the history of this house. Elvis wasn't the first owner.
That's right, and few fans realize that before they come and get the full history lesson. Elvis bought this home in 1957 when he was only 22 years old, and it was for about $100,000 actually. And on the memo line of the check, he actually wrote the Moore property. So this was part of a 600-acre farm originally built and owned by the Moore family of Memphis. And the name actually comes from, the name Graceland actually comes from one of their favorite nieces, Grace. And when Elvis bought the home when he was 22, he loved the name so much, so he decided to keep it.
Well, what do you think that this landmark given to our city?
So much, really. I mean, it's a priceless landmark, and it just adds priceless culture to the citizens of Memphis and the Mid-South. You know, hundreds of thousands of fans and Memphis visitors come every year to come see the King's Castle, as we like to call it, and it's just given kind of a landmark, like what we're talking about today here on the show, to the Mid-South and music culture and pop culture.
What economic impacts do you think this landmark has given us as well?
Oh, so much, you know. We are happy to announce the opening of our new guest house at Graceland. It's the new hotel opening just steps away from the mansion, and we hope to really cater to that economic group that's coming to Memphis and hope to offer them an even better stay. And, you know, it was kind of built off of the premise, we like to ask what would Elvis do every day here, and Elvis hardly ever lived alone. He lived with family and with friends, and so often he had to send family in to stay in hotels. And, you know, he really would have loved, we think he really would have loved to have had a guest house on property where he could keep his family and friends when they come to stay. And so that's really what the premise of our new hotel was built off of. And it's, like I said, it's just steps away from the mansion. It's the biggest hotel project in Memphis in more than 90 years, I believe, since the Peabody, 450 rooms, and we're really excited to offer this to our guests every year.
Well, speaking of the new hotel opening up right down the street, do you have like an opening date set, or how is it coming along in general?
We do. You know, it's sprouting up. We drive past it every day coming to work, and it just gets bigger and bigger by the day. It seems like the opening date is October 27th of this year. We're really excited that we can say this year now. It's been a project in the making for so many years, it seems like. You know, designs have been supervised by Priscilla Presley herself. She's kind of led the kind of steering the wheel on this project, and so we're really looking forward to October when we can offer this to our friends and family here.
Is the guest house going to have any additions that the mansion has itself, like a replicate jungle room?
Well, we're kind of hoping to kind of pay homage to the mansion in a way, so it's going to be built off that Southern colonial style with the columns out front, the portico for the cars to drive under and drop off guests. So we might not have an exact replica of the jungle room, but we're definitely utilizing some of these Southern colonial aspects that the mansion proudly displays.
Well, this amazing landmark has affected our economy greatly, as you said, but the Whitehaven community doesn't exactly replicate that all the time. Is the mansion involved in the remaking of Whitehaven?
Yes, we're very excited to kind of give back to our community that supports us in every way. More than half of our employees are from the Whitehaven area, so we love to be one of the key employers in Memphis and in Whitehaven specifically. And you know, new projects are developing every day. The Clean Memphis initiative is really working hand in hand with organizations and companies in the Whitehaven area, from Smith & Nephew to Graceland to Medtronic and Diamond and Summit. So we're really excited to be a part of this community effort to kind of give back to Memphis and really consider ourselves a caretaker of that.
Well, speaking of giving back, Elvis Enterprises is a huge corporation. Do you have any partnerships with charities going on?
Yes, the Elvis Presley Charitable Foundation is a huge change maker in Memphis. We give so much in scholarships for the University of Memphis, and really hope to continue Elvis's legacy through local musicians and local students.
Well, what are some of your favorite rooms in the house?
Well, speaking of charity, and foundations, one of my favorite things that we don't often get to show people on media tours is part of the trophy room that Elvis had built on, and there's a wall of $100,000 checks that Elvis wrote to local Memphis foundations, to Goodwill Foundation, to there's just so many, I can't even remember all of them, but that really spoke to me the first time I took a tour, and that one of my favorite things that's most remarkable that I like to point out.
So people can schedule events and weddings and parties here on the property. Do you see that often?
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, I'm volunteering for a party. I think it's next week. So yeah, we have a great events facility and a great events team and staff that put so much hard work and dedication into really hosting people who want to be a part of this Elvis culture, and it grows every day.
Well, Elvis Week comes up every August, as we all know. What preparations have already been started?
Well, preparing for Elvis Week starts the Elvis Week before, where we try to keep one step ahead. And again, we have a great marketing and event planning department who is spinning the wheels. And we're happy to announce that all of our all-access passes for this upcoming Elvis Week has already been sold out. The Gospel VIP all-access pass is already sold out. So we like to keep it a blend of the annual staples that people come back year after year for, and also adding some new twists. So you'll have to stay tuned for June when we make some more detailed announcements.
Well, what other events are coming up?
Well, we're obviously looking forward to the guest house opening in October. That's going to be a huge event with Elvis's friends and family and fans, of course. We always have the Graceland lighting ceremony, and that's in November every year, and birthdays when we celebrate the King of Rock and Roll's birthday, and that's in January. That's January 8th.
Well, Miss Perry, thank you so much for letting us come to this beautiful, beautiful mansion today.
Sarah.
Of course, I hope we get to see you again. As you can see, we are back downtown. When we return, we will be at a new landmark that is getting national recognition.
Welcome to Germantown High School, an international baccalaureate creative and performing arts optional school, a destination school for students who are going places.
Our students are of the highest caliber when it comes to their academics and knowledge.
The IB program is a very rigorous program.
You were challenged in a way that you thought you couldn't be challenged. You succeeded, something that other kids may not have thought they could do.
They're accepted to colleges that are just, dream colleges for so many people.
Germantown High School offers a CAPA program, the Creative and Performing Arts program.
When I first came here, I saw the television studio and I was just amazed at what all I saw.
Kids do everything, that they're taught every detail that has to do with theater arts and creative arts.
I love a lot of things about Germantown High School, but primarily what I love is the athletics. There's something exciting around every single corner.
We probably are one of the most diverse high schools in the state of Tennessee, maybe the United States.
I would never doubt about sending your child to Germantown High School.
This high school is something not like any other high school that we have.
There's definitely fun in the work. We find fun in everything we do.
Runners on your mark.
You roll out at the dawning of the day. Hard racing as we make your little getaway. But there's always sky. When you fall down, we lose our way. We get back up again. It's never too late to get back up again. And one day you won't shine again. You may be knocked out, but not out forever. Lose our way. We get back up again. It's never too late to get back up again. And one day.
Welcome back to this special show of Crosstalk. As you can see, we are back downtown at Memphis's Beale Street Landing. Joining me today is Dorchelle Spence, Vice President of Riverfront Development. Thank you so much for coming on to our show today.
I am delighted to be here, Sarah, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Well, Ms. Spence, congratulations. Beale Street Landing was recently acclaimed Best Marina in Port by an international architectural program. What does this recognition mean for the landing?
Well, it's really cool to be designated as the best in the world and to have professionals from all over the world within the field of architecture to come in and judge the landing here based on its design and say that we are the very best. So it means a lot to us. It means we did a lot of things right, but it means we had a really talented designer.
It did. Well, the landing is it's very new. How did the plans come about?
Well, it started as an international design competition, which is we sent out an invitation to say we want to build a dock here in the city that's a multi-use facility in addition to being able to dock riverboats. What ideas do you have? And we opened it up to architectural students on the college level. We opened it up to professionals who have been, in the field for ages to see what the opportunities were for Memphis. And we did a blind competition, which meant we didn't know if the submittals were students or professionals, and we didn't know where they came from. And in the end, we had 171 entries from 24 states and 27 countries outside of the U.S.
Well, how did the process come about of finding the correct design and architecture of the landing?
Well, we used a jury. So we used professionals from both urban planning, architecture, and design to come together and judge all 171 entries. They narrowed it down to 5, and we gave a stipend, a $10,000 stipend to the top 5 entries to then flush out, if you will, their designs and to come to Memphis and present what they thought should go here.
Well, the landing has incorporated the landscape and the environment with, on the hump there is grass on it. Why did you keep the environment in the landing?
Well, we wanted to fit Beale Street Landing into its natural habitat. What we didn't want to do is to build something huge and big to compete with the Mississippi River. We have the 4th longest river in the world right here, and Memphis sits at its widest point. So why compete with such a natural asset? Instead, we wanted something to complement it, and we wanted the lines to flow like the river flows. We wanted it to fit into the grassland. We have 250 acres of parkland along the riverfront, and so we needed it all to sort of fit together. And our designers did a beautiful job with that.
Well, speaking of the Mississippi River, Ms. Spence, we have huge river cruises coming through the Mississippi River. How has that affected Riverside Drive and the landing?
Well, a couple things. One, when we actually built Beale Street Landing during the construction, there were no touring river cruises on the Mississippi River. Because we built such an outstanding facility, the river cruise lines started to pick up, and they decided to come back to the Mississippi River. So we welcome them back with open arms, and we have one of the best docks that they can find along the Mississippi River. So it's been really good for the river cruise companies. It's been really good for our community.
Well, Ms. Spence, there were plans to expand the dock and the landing to maybe bring in bigger river cruise lines. Are those plans still in the works?
Well, not necessarily bigger cruise lines, but additional cruise lines. Because most of the boats are about the same size. They have different shapes and that kind of thing, but they're about the same size. And so what we now have been contacted with 3 additional boat companies in addition to the American Queen. That was the first one to come back to the Mississippi River. Now we have 3 additional ones that are coming to the Mississippi River. And so there is some idea about in future years we may need to expand. Right now what we're doing is we're going to accommodate all of them on this dock by scheduling. So we'll have some that come in on Sundays and some that come in on Tuesdays and that kind of thing. But eventually we'll need to expand the dock facility part of it.
Well, speaking of scheduling, what kind of events are available at the landing for kids, families, and adults?
Well, we have lots of great things. For instance, starting in the summer, we have Twilight Tuesday, which is free movie nights right here on this grass roof. So what we do is for 8 weeks in a row, we do a first run movie that we show here. People bring their blankets and they picnic out here on Tuesdays that start the 2nd Tuesday in June and go through the last Tuesday in July. So that's one of the things that we do free. The other thing is you might see behind me there's a play island for children. It's a splash park or a splash pad, and it can accommodate about 75 kids at a time, and it's always full. There's water, there's a sliding board, there's a big catfish we call Big John, and kids love to climb on it and walk through it, so it's a lot of fun. And then we have things that are more adult oriented. We have people rent the space out for weddings, for special events, for parties, corporate parties and events. We have a restaurant, we have our daily excursion, so it's really a multi-use, multi-functioning facility.
Well, what else goes on inside Beale Street Landing? I know that there is a very nice restaurant inside.
There is Riverfront Bar and Grill. It's traditional Southern cuisine. It's not necessarily mashed potatoes and meatloaf, but it's catfish, it's shrimp, it's salads. I mean, we stayed away from barbecue because in Memphis you can get great barbecue. We didn't want to compete with that.
Well, What other plans are there going on for Beale Street Landing? Can you give us a little inside detail?
Well, you know, one of the things that we haven't talked about yet is we have our daily excursions. So if you wanted to just come out with your family or your friends and take a riverboat excursion that goes from this bridge to that bridge, it's about an hour and a half ride. It's a lot of fun. You can get your ticket right here at Beale Street Landing, go right down our helical ramp and board one of our daily excursions. We also have a gift shop that's inside the landing, so it's a lot to do when you come inside. You can browse, you can take a ride, you can grab a meal, have a beverage, and the sunsets out here are just phenomenal, and they're free.
So there's Crump Park down there, and then there's the Greenbelt up north, and then there's Beale Street Landing right here. How are you keeping the original history in Riverside Drive?
Well, you know, there's a lot that happens along the riverfront. For instance, we have the historic Cobblestone Landing, which is one of the largest surviving cobblestone landings in our nation that's being preserved right now. And so, you know, that is a part of our history. We still house our daily excursion boats down on the cobblestones so that they continue to get that kind of use. Some of our cruises actually leave from the cobblestones to give people that sense. Tom Lee Park is used greatly, but what a lot of people don't know is that Tom Lee Park is actually named for a local hero, Tom Lee, who saved 32 people from drowning in the Mississippi River in the early 1930s. And so that was a big deal because Tom Lee couldn't swim. And so there's a monument to Tom Lee in Tom Lee Park. And the Riverfront Development Corporation had that done. So we maintain our history, whether it's our Civil War history that are in some of our parks. Further to the north, Memphis Park and Mississippi River Park have that kind of history. So we work really hard. And then further south is the Ornamental Metal Museum, which is also a part of the riverfront property.
Well, Ms. Spence, thank you so much for giving us a look at this new Memphis landmark.
Yes, and if you ever want to have an event here, whether it's corporate or personal, make sure you call the number on the screen and talk to our general manager, Beth Bomarito.
Of course, thank you. Thank you for watching this special edition of Crosstalk. If you haven't taken the time to tour our Bluff City, I highly recommend it. Remember, Crosstalk can be seen at 9:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Mondays, 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Thursdays, and 7:30 p.m. on Sundays. And for more information about our programming, go to GHS-TV.org, where we are streaming 24 hours a day. And feel free to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. I'm Sara Mayers, and from all of us here at GHS-TV, thank you for watching Crosstalk, and I hope to see you again.